Oh, I hate recording on camera. This will probably be boring to some, mildly amusing, interesting to others. Already, I can feel the tension. I haven't had the urge to record because I'm all of a sudden self-conscious again. And I'm all of a sudden self-conscious again in front of the camera because I keep resensitizing myself. I've been meditating again recently. This is why I'm even recording. I'm meditating and it makes me a whole new human being again. And I've been really hesitant to share those feelings. Because if I heard anybody else say that, I'd be like, shut the fuck up. I'd be like, you loony hippie, you're talking nonsense. You want to believe what you'd like to believe. But I'm not suggesting, the thing about meditation, and I don't know why I'm self-conscious about it when it's so widely accepted, but I don't hear its gospel preached. I don't really hear anybody really talk about how, man, oh man, can it save you? But also how exorcist-like the process can be. I'm going to be all the way real. I feel like if I, with my exact chemistry, existed in the early 90s or in a neighborhood with the crack epidemic, I feel like I would have succumbed to that. And the only reason why I have any awkwardness about saying that is because I just imagine all their responses when hearing it. I imagine everybody not everybody, so many misunderstanding that declaration, taking pity upon me or thinking, oh no, that like that. When I've been in this body for 34 fucking years and I have been observing it, reflecting upon it, and really in a way that's just, for lack of a better word, or rather in a way that has the best word, but this word is so stigmatized, it's trivialized, it's dismissed as any kind of credible, unless you're making millions. It's weird. It's a very weird existence, internal existence, relative to others. How can you possibly know? Well, you can't know that for sure, but it sure does seem like it, and I would bet anything if we could somehow measure the different exact sort of modes of being that there are. The fact that I'm even talking about modes of being. And maybe the other fear when talking about this is then suggesting or implying superiority as a result of being able to do it. Because what I'm suggesting is that I could be really, really, really off, messed up, feeling destabilized. I can go into a meditative state. I can focus on my breathing first, do all kinds of things, these practices and habits that I developed to sort of, what I call it, I hate these language that I have, but I have to say it, to access the quote unquote voiceless one, to cease my thoughts. My end game in the most serious of meditation is to cease my thoughts. And the mood, the mode I call it is, the feeling is getting in contact with what I call the voiceless one. Oh man, it's so weird talking about this. I have such nervousness talking about it. This is a good opportunity to share with you what meditation helps you realize. It is energy. And I'm not saying that it's energy that heals, hurts. I'm not suggesting that the energy is doing, but it's sensation. It is a very, very powerful sensation that moves you this way or that way if you let it. We tend to let every single sort of impulse move us this way, move us that way. That's one of the things about being overreactive. I've noticed that myself when I'm back into that more centered, stabilized place where I can observe my thoughts because I've been ceasing them for so long. Now I have a stronger familiarity with thoughtlessness. and then I have a greater sensitivity to thinking. And what I've noticed about thoughts is that, I mean, everything that the people say about them is true, that you don't have to identify with it and whatnot. But yeah, it's so involuntary, or so seemingly. It's like just a hair away from being involuntary fully, like the feeling of it anyway. Unless you really, really sit down and dissect your thoughts and pay attention to the inner workings of your mind and become so intimate with it that it feels like you can reach out and touch your thoughts. They become so loud that they drown out everything else. And I'm not cacophonously loud, but just loud enough to where they have your undivided attention. You realize that you can disassociate yourself from them. And then when they occur again, you see that, well, today I've realized this, or rather not realize it. I shouldn't say realize it. It seems like I'm always realizing something, but it's not necessarily a fact or true, or it's not consistently exercised, or it loses its essence or seeming power or whatever. So I'm not gonna say I realized. Like, and this is me really going on my way to be overly, just unhealthily humble, unhealthily self-conscious, really inspecting each of my words, and I'm still failing because I'm losing my train of thought. I'm forcing myself to record this, by the way, also because I also want to force myself to record again, because I know I want to talk, but I feel like I've gotten so out of practice with it. I'm still aware that I'm again going off on a tangent. Let me rewind. What it felt like earlier was that my thoughts and my thoughtlessness were two very different feelings. And I know that goes away if you're continually thoughtless. Your thoughts don't seem like this person or this embodiment of something. But like when you say me, when you know that like that wasn't me, you know, we have this idea of who me is. And I sound like a crazy person. It's so, you know why it's like a crazy person? I like a crazy person, especially because it's not normal to talk about this. And typically when it's talked about, it's imbued with all kinds of spirituality, all kinds of, tenets and suggestions about reality that seem just way too far-fetched, and it goes too far. It's always extreme. It's always cultish. It's never spoken about in a healthy way. It's like, hey, I have the silver bullet. No, I have the silver bullet. It's never talked about in this way that you don't necessarily have to be a guru to glimpse it, even though you do have to engage in guru-like behavior, which is to say, I don't say you have to, but sitting still and having noiseless environment is really important, obviously, and that should be for obvious reasons. But it seems like two different things. Like, it's funny, like me talking to you right now, this is me. It feels like I'm me. But once I enter into that meditative state, once I successfully cease my thoughts by the feeling of it anyway, the only way I can explain it is like it's the same way that you can't really put your finger on it, like how exactly you're releasing your bladder when you want to and when you don't want to. Like that internal communication that you make, that you've gotten so used to. Like if you've never relieved your bladder before, then all of a sudden develop this ability to do so, and you were trying to describe to somebody, what's that feeling like? It's like you get in tune with this part of you, and then you kind of like pay attention to it and you relax it. And so with thoughtlessness, I'm paying attention to my thoughts, and it feels like I'm on guard duty towards my thoughts. Like I'm looking at my thoughts dead in the eye. And I find that when I give my thoughts undivided attention, all of mine, when they actually have my undivided attention, this is me at least attempting to subjectively describe it. Describe the subjective experience. It's it feels like I'm on guard duty, and like my observation of my thoughts, it seems like it obliterates my thoughts. And then as a result, initially with me, what happens is I get a lot of popping and locking. I have a lot of yoga like movements, self chiropractic movements. And there's other ingredients that I will mention in the future, I suppose, on a need to know basis. But that's my ingredients anyway. That's at least how I essentially enter into a state of thoughtlessness, which makes me feel renewed. I actually sobbed. And I sobbed because I've been super stressed recently, just because I'm very sensitive to negativity, and it's negativity that doesn't make sense, that's pointless, I should say, that I feel it's not helping us anyway. It's actually like destroying our relationships. It's destroying the fabric of the bonds that we have. So any area, whether it could be a workplace, it could be like just a classroom. If I'm in any area around any group of people for any extended amount of time where I have to give you my undivided attention, I'm going to start to care about whatever the reason is we're interacting. I'm going to start to care about your well-being, the well-being of the workplace, well-being of of how we're getting educated. If I'm saying, it's like all of a sudden I care about all of the conditions and elements that are involved in whatever that thing is. So my point is that, like, as a result of that, I'm very susceptible to I'm susceptible to that which destroys the integrity of everything that's good about why we're congregating, what we're trying to do. So super stressed, and also it's a stress that my internal sensitivity has definitely evolved, has definitely become stronger, because it's a stress that I've always had. It's so familiar. I remember feeling this exact way so many times throughout my entire life, but I had never known that it had such I never known that it had such a say in my misbehaviors. It's this tension, it's this conflict that if I wasn't doing everything that I'm trying to do to continue to be healthy and grow and to have a lack of tension in my internal environment, essentially that's what I strive for, to just get rid of the tension, to feel stronger, to feel lighter, to feel more energetic, and to feel less tense, to feel less pain, to feel less stiffness. It's a shame that, like, I'm realizing that with my stiffness, with that tension, I was doing maladaptive things, and I still am susceptible to doing those maladaptive things, which creates the addict. It's me running away from a discomfort, a pain. And I don't know why there's a pain there, to be honest. Like, my body type and my body, if the world tells me, like, hey, you shouldn't, you seem like you're healthy, you seem like you're in shape. Like, even when I was skinny, I was just skinny. But for some reason, there would still be this internal tension. And, or as my brother Eric had pointed out, talking about some reason. What am I saying? Excuse me, I know why. And this is, again, I guess, man, I try to steer away from getting, quote unquote, spooky, from getting weird, from making this into things that are quite spurious and potentially superstitious, or seemingly superstitious. But it's true. One second, excuse me. I'm not editing this video. I always say that and I end up doing something, but I hope I don't. I definitely... Oh, this brings us to the breed. Oh man, I'm just talking about, dude, this is the biggest rant, because I believe that I'm a particular kind of breed of human. I'm not saying my particular breed is better or worse, but I'm saying that I have certain appetites, I have certain sensitivities, I have a certain receptivity, interest, all that stuff. I feel like at a very much so deep-seated level, I am different from other human beings. And again, I'm not saying better or worse. To be honest, it makes me have a dysfunctional relationship with what's the norm. So I would say it's to my detriment that I'm in this different kind of human being. And that kind of human being is one who truly does absorb and just harness a lot of the hurt, the discomfort, the pain, the senselessness, the unhealthiness. I have no doubt that other people do as well. I have no doubt. But some of us can function better. Some of us, we're not always on to receive it, to feel it like that. I must admit that, yeah, I would say it's to my detriment. I have an overactive sort of empathy, and it's not a humble brag or trying to give myself a compliment. I do feel too much, and if I feel too deeply, the good and the bad. And that's again why I'm an addict, because the highs, I would argue, I've never been in anybody else's body, but I would think that most people are addicts. I know why I feel addicted, because something feels so absurdly good that everything else pales in comparison. Like, whether you like it or not, everything else feels like a cold, dead winter compared to that one thing that gives you life. And I don't think that's some kind of gift either, unless you can turn it into a contribution to this world, unless you can make it contributive, unless you can. A lot of people with their addictions, they become obsessed about something that's very helpful. And so we don't even look at it like an addiction, which we shouldn't, because to be honest, that word it should be only applicable to when there's significant negative consequences. And if there's nothing but goodness coming from it, then why are we persecuting it? Why even worry about it? You're doing great. Good thing that you're obsessed with this very helpful thing. But meditation, it's amazing how beneficial it is. And I feel like this is so blasphemous, but you know how somebody's like, I just had to tell you about my Lord and Savior. I just had to tell you about Jesus. I just had to tell you about meditation. I really did, because it helped me so much. It's not a silver bullet, though. I'm not saying that it's going to fix all my fucking problems or even do anything except what I'm saying is doing at some very crucial moments. And I don't even do it consistently enough. All I know is that breathing exercises, for one. Meditation, which is to say the end game being engaging in thoughtlessness, for two. In yoga, just getting on the ground, stretching, putting your timer on for 30 minutes, just having your body put into positions that make you feel really, really good. And I believe in sexual healing. I know some dirty minds definitely thought about some things when I said that, and I think sexual healing is real. I feel like that shit and also I feel like you can overdose on it, so to speak. Like, anything that makes you feel really, really good and nourished and like renewed, you can definitely do it into the ground, no pun intended. And then there can be diminishing returns, and then even just like purely negative consequences. And so it's all about the balance, it's all about all that stuff. But let me shut up, man. I feel like I've been talking for long enough. Meditation is legit. I wanted to record. That's why I'm all super tangential, non sequiturs. But I just wanted to talk, and it felt good. So it's its own reward. Hey. All right, peace out.